Yes, sir.
Of course, we're serious about our liberation.
I hope so.
Yeah. And of course, we've made many, many efforts before. So what are the things that you've learned from our failed efforts that will ensure that this movement will actually come to fruition?
I'm a somewhat different individual. And I've been blessed with an effervescent spirit. I think my father was probably the one that I got that. I used to say that my father seems to be a person who problems and trouble just seem to roll off him like water off a duck's back. So I never look at anything and see any doubt about its potential. My favorite motivational speaker is a brother by the name of Les Brown. And one of Les's quotes that I love is the one that says that he defines the difference between an optimist and a pessimist. He said that a pessimist sees obstructions in the way of his or her opportunities, while an optimist sees opportunity in the very existence or presence of the obstructions, because it's an opportunity to figure out a way to get over, under, around, or through the obstruction. That is the way I approach life. I always look for the way around a situation, over a situation, past a situation. In other words, never losing sight of what it is. So I have to believe, brother, as long as I live, I will believe this way, that the ultimate accomplishment of our goal is somehow right around that corner. I may not be able to see it from where I'm positioned relative to whatever is obstructing my view, but I don't always see the sun. But there's never a doubt in my mind that the sun is shining. The clouds may be obscuring my view of the sun, but I know the sun is there. So for me, victory is assured. It's a question of what we are willing and ready to do to bring it to fruition. And might I share this with you? Again, my wife and I were talking about this last night after I left my brothers, and we had such good fellowship. And we talked about, I don't know whether you all know, for example, that for many of us, we understand that the history of the people that are today known to be Jews. In one sense, people say that they were actually a people who once had an empire called Khazar. And that at one point, that empire was defeated by the Byzantines. And they were then given the choice of converting from what was supposedly a pagan religious belief, whatever it was, into one or another of the three then monotheistic religions that were being promoted by the West or the empires of the day. So they had a choice, I'm told, according to what I've studied, of either choosing to convert to Christianity, either Western form or Roman Catholicism, or the Eastern version, Eastern Orthodox, or Islam, or Judaism. And they chose Judaism. And I always wondered, why did they choose Judaism? I'm a spiritual person. And so I go into the silence and I meditate and I seek from the Akashic records answers to existential questions. In other words, my answers come from God, the source. And guess what I found out? They chose Judaism because in the Old Testament of even the Christian Bible, the Jews were referred to as God's chosen people. Now, I got to respect those folks to the nth degree, having the presence of mind to foresee from the condition that they were in at that time, that had just been defeated unceremoniously by their historic enemies, and they are given a choice of religions to choose, and they choose a religion based on the fact that it contained the premise that the people referred to in that book were God's chosen people. And they could foresee what could happen if. Remember what I said last night? Well, we need to ask the question, what if? That's what I would say to, in terms of the question, yeah. What if? What if it worked? What if this worked? That's what we've got to do. We've got to stop allowing ourselves to be dissuaded and discouraged by negativity. My spiritual belief system says, look for the good and praise it, because what you praise, you draw more of that into your experience. So these people who have come to call themselves and be referred to as Jews saw fit to convert to a religion which they then laid claim to being the people of the book. Now, if the other branches supposedly of that religion, Christianity, Islam, etc., are really going to be true to their claim to believe in the book, then you have to have respect for these people who are the people of the book that supposedly are the chosen people of the God in that book. So now today you see the results of centuries of Jewish people, or these people who have converted to the Jewish religion, having effectively appropriated and co-opted that religion for their own use. And now all of the more powerful militarily and numerically groups in these other religions are in effect supplicants before the Jewish community and doing everything they can to help the state of Israel become a world power. I'm saying to you this, I'm not here to criticize or to knock anybody else, but I'm saying if those people from that position, being flat on their backs after just having been defeated, can find something to latch onto and say, if and to the extent that we convince ourselves and other people that we are the people of this book, imagine what if. And they did. Read the protocols of the learned elders in Zion.
Yes, yes.
See how these people did that.
Yes.
I don't read the book and condemn them for what they did. I read the book and say, hey, Marcus Garvey said there is nothing common to man that man cannot do. What does that mean? The only proof you need that human beings can accomplish a thing is that some human beings have already done it.
Yes.
And some human beings have come from the depths of degradation that those Khazarians were in after their massive defeat, and latch on to something, whatever that belief was, that they needed, may not be the same one that will work for me. But if you can find something inside of yourself, inside of your own people, inside of your own experience, to latch on to and believe in, you can pull yourself up to any height. That's what we have to do. That's the thing.
That's right.
That's serious. I see a lot coming out of it. I have been doing what I've been doing for 40-some years.
Okay, sir.
It's a miracle the way it works, and I tell everyone, believe it or not, I'm a dyslexic. But on what you've said, I also say, with my dyslexia, it has become a blessing. Believe it or not, I'm having babies coming to me. I just finished doing my house. I'm having babies coming to me, 5, 6-year-old babies. Mr. Lewis, I want to see your house. And Mr. Lewis, take me on a tour of your house. I had a baby. That's why I know this will work. I've seen black children. Now, in starting this, people said to me, well, Lou, how are you going to teach an old dog new tricks? I said, I don't want the old dogs. I want the puppies. Give me the puppies. And the puppies is coming. The puppies are coming. When I get a baby, 5-year-old, walks up to me with newspaper that they give out, they throw out. This child came to me and asked me for this paper. I said, it's the newspaper. I said, what you gonna do with it? He said, I'm gonna read it. I gave it to him. He brought it back to me 2 weeks later. Mr. Lewis, I read this paper. This is what I'm dealing with. So what you have there, this is my program. I have a program called the Feeding the Arts, and I have the Feeding the Arts. We're going to talk because I got some children already ready.
Looking forward to that, brother.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah. I'll warn you all up.
You're on time. You're on time.
Okay, then in closing, let me say this. I want to again thank those folks who were responsible for having chosen me to serve in this honored capacity as your closing keynote speaker. I hope I have not disappointed you, and even more important than that, I hope that I have managed to strike a responsive chord within some of you here. I know we're not going to bat 1,000, but again, if I can get me 2 out of 100, and that 2 will be the 2 that we're looking for. We need to build this 1 million block of solid black voters and contributors. Because let me tell you something, folks. There is not a national election that is likely to take place in the United States of America that could have any relevance for black people. That 1 million votes voting solid together, not beholden to any party. These 1 million will be registered, no party affiliation. We're not talking about building a block of voters within the Democratic Party or getting black folks to shift from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party. We're not even talking about joining the Green Party. We're talking about black folks withdrawing from any and all existing parties. There's 1 million in it. And forming themselves into a solid block of thinking, conscious black folk who will be willing to withdraw from any other party and then stand together when we negotiate with candidates and parties as to what it is our platform says they would have to do in order to entice us to give them our 1 million votes, or we could withhold those votes, or we could deliver those 1 million votes to the opponent. Now just imagine, if you will, remember I say I want you all to ask the question, what if? What if we did it? Just what if we pulled it off? If we formed this 1 million solid block of conscious, that means thinking folks, thinking, black folks who care about black folks, and ain't about hating anybody else, just looking out for us, okay? We're the ones that need to be looked out for. What if we succeed in building that force, and we could say to parties that we can either give you 1 million votes, which will be the margin of victory in any national election in this country. And incidentally, we've also broken that down into every community in the country that has a substantial black population. We can tell you that just as it would take 1 million votes at the national level to win any election or to provide the margin of victory, we can tell you in any community, I have the numbers at home for New Orleans. How many? You'd be surprised how small a number, relatively speaking, of solid black conscious voters right here in the city of New Orleans it would take for y'all to control every election that takes place in your local community. Everyone. All right, now supposing though, we talked about 1 million votes, right? But suppose we say to our 1 million voters, okay, we want you, we're going to support this particular candidate or this particular party in this particular election. Remember, there are no permanent friends and no permanent enemies. So which party or candidate we support in one election may not necessarily be the one we'll support next time if that person doesn't deliver on the promise. right? So we can say to the candidate, not only can we deliver or withhold 1 million votes, which will provide the margin of victory, but guess what? We can ask every one of our 1 million voters to put up $10 apiece, and we can provide $10 million infusion into the campaign. Do y'all realize that black folks don't contribute financially to political campaigns? We vote, but we don't provide financial contribution. They don't even expect that from us, you see. But just suppose, what if we did it? Do you think that there are any politician in this country, any political party in this country, as greedy as they are for money and power, are going to be talking to a group of 1 million black folks who think, and those folks can deliver or withhold 1 million votes in an election that will be determined by that number of votes in the final analysis, and those folks can say, we will give you either 10, 25, 15, or even $50 million. Because even if you ask our 1 million people for $50 apiece, it's painless to that caliber of people. But imagine how much influence we can have in this country if we demonstrate the presence of mind to organize ourselves, first and foremost, the way that we need to organize ourselves, and then be disciplined enough to negotiate the best deal that we can get for the uplift and advancement of our people. Do you think that can't be done? If you agree with me that it can be done, then let's get it done.